Welcome to another episode of The Natural List. I am your host, Adrienne Smith. I'm here today with Bill Giebler. We're going to talk about something very fun, supplements. What's more fun than that, right, Bill?
Nothing, not much is more fun than supplements.
Before we get started, I want to give a quick thanks to our sponsors, Bimbo Bakeries USA and Om Mushroom Superfoods. Om Mushrooms, founded in 2010 by preventative medicine expert Dr. Sandra Carter and mycologist Stephen Farrar, creates organic mushroom supplements designed to support a wide range of functional benefits, including cognitive function, gut health, energy, and overall well-being. Grown in a BRCGS AA-rated facility in Vista, California, their products deliver full-spectrum purity and potency. Om's available nationwide at retailers including Whole Foods Market, Sprouts, and Walmart, blending ancient wisdom with modern science to make mushrooms accessible for everyday use for one and all. So this has been kind of a big week for supplements. I saw in the news that there was a new bill introduced in Congress that would allow people to use FSA and HSA funds to pay for dietary supplements. And I think what I understood from the article, and I am not caught up on the latest regulatory supplement news, but that this is not the first time that a bill like this has been introduced, but they've never had a lot of traction before.
Right. I was going to say it's sort of it's great news like that. It's clear to me that people should be able to use their HSA funds to purchase supplements. But it's sort of an I'll believe it when I see it sort of bill. This is something that's been coming up for years and years, but it is something that the industry got particularly excited about with RFK in office, and it's something that RFK has promised to put energy into. And it's probably more promising than it's been in years past. There is momentum behind it. There's interest throughout HHS to promote this. And I think they understand the importance of it. So I don't have a sense of like the likelihood of it passing, but it's something that I think it really makes sense. I think it probably makes sense to a lot of consumers too. So that is big news, and it could be good news if it passes. I think it's good news for consumers for sure. And it's fantastic news for the industry, right? Because then it allows, there's just more dollars there to be spent in the already $75 billion supplement industry, he says, foreshadowing the report we're about to talk about.
Well, and you answered my next question. So yeah, let's just go right in and talk about the supplement business report. Is the supplement business report kind of the big one every year? Or I know it's one of the big ones, but is it kind of the most anticipated report that you put out for NBJ?
It absolutely is. And so we put out, meaning Nutrition Business Journal, we put out a bunch of reports every year, and somewhat to my chagrin, a lot of people out there would say it's the report. It is the report we put out every year. People reach out to us and say, when's the report coming out? And we're like, we put out 8 reports every year, but this is the big one. This is the one that everyone counts on. Some people call it the annual report. I always frame NBJ, Nutrition Business Journal, as the what, the where, and the why of the supplement industry from a sales and growth perspective. What's selling from across 6 ingredient categories and hundreds of ingredients, within those categories. Where is it selling across, coincidentally, 6 sales channels from natural and specialty to e-commerce and practitioner and whatnot. And why is it selling? Why are consumers buying it? And so this report is the what and the where report. Our biggest report, but our second most popular report is the condition-specific report, and that's the why report. We track 22 conditions, and as the motivator for why consumers are buying the supplements they're buying, or from an ingredient standpoint, take magnesium. That's the great one because it's great for 300 different biological functions in the body. So why are people buying it? Oh, for mood. Oh, for sleep. Oh, for brain health and whatnot. And so we do our best to parse that out and recognize how much of magnesium sales are for brain health and how much are for bone health and whatnot. So that's what we don't cover in this report. That's up next in the condition specific report. But this is the what and the where report.
So kind of, big overview. Are there any huge takeaways that really surprised you this time around or that you think people should know?
I think the biggest surprise for me is specialty nutrients. So that's kind of the everything else ingredients, vitamins or
I actually
vitamins.
looked that up this morning because I had no idea what it was. I had to go to slide like 97 to figure out what that was. But yes, please tell us what it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, minerals are minerals, vitamins are vitamins, herbs and botanicals. It's pretty straightforward, although we do include mushrooms in there, which, who's, folks out there will know, they'll be saying, no, that's not a botanical, but, so most of the categories are pretty straightforward. You get to sports nutrition and it gets a little fuzzier, like, oh, wait, is that a sports nutrient or whatnot? But specialty is kind of I can't call it a catch-all because it's not catching all of those other things I just listed, but it's all these things like probiotics and now prebiotics. Prebiotics from a growth standpoint are outpacing probiotics by a long shot. Collagen is in specialty, CoQ10, fish
Omegas,
oil.
right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and then NAD precursors, NAD and NMN, which is so hard for me to say without saying M&M. And, those things. So that specialty category is now the second largest category, and it's the number one growing category. And I really want to emphasize this because the bigger a category is, the harder it is to grow. It can add a lot of dollars, but it can't grow. It's harder to grow by a large percentage. So the larger categories tend to be a little more sluggish in growth rates. Specialty is the number one growing category, and it's the number two in size. So it's really dominating the industry. There's just so much going on in specialty. And it makes sense, I think, because there's so much happening on TikTok. There's so much happening on e-commerce. There's so much in the media about these specialty nutrients. So we're just seeing a lot. So the number one category is vitamins, but it's the slowest growing category of all six. And so specialty is really the biggest one.
Some of the things that are captured within specialty that you mentioned, probiotics, prebiotics, I mean, those really feel on trend with gut health. And, of course, CoQ10, if I'm not mistaken, is brain health. So, I mean, it feels like it makes sense with some of the big trends we're seeing out there around brain health, longevity, gut health, and the importance of the microbiome. So do you think that's why that category is just doing so well?
I do think so. I mean, the whole industry, I think, over time has been shifting just from kind of the OG supplements are multivitamins. And so, let's just round out our nutrient intake with a multivitamin. Let's take some nutrients. Let's take some B vitamins. Oh, B vitamins might be good for stress. C vitamins where you feel like you're coming down with a cold. But more and more, and this is dangerous territory because this is the big regulatory challenge, but more and more supplements are taking on kind of a pharmaceutical approach in marketing and in consumers' minds. It's like, oh, I can recover from a condition. I can heal a condition. I can reverse a condition. Now, in supplement language, it's supports brain health, supports bone health, right? But that's the language on the bottle and in credible marketing. But what consumers are looking for is like, oh, it's like I have an issue here and I want to reverse it. So supplements over time are just getting more and more into that space of correcting a condition. And that's what we see in that condition-specific report that's coming up, is that people are buying with much more precision for a condition. And that doesn't have to be specialty nutrients. That can be vitamin D for immunity. That can be, all sorts of, like that can be magnesium for brain health. And then people start to understand, oh, magnesium L-threonate for brain health and magnesium glycinate for sleep, and that just like the sophistication among consumers and among bloggers and that sort of thing is really increasing.
Well, I also feel like, multivitamins were a great choice when they were the only choice, and they were all kind of, I'm not saying that right, but they were all kind of the same. Now, even buying a multivitamin is incredibly challenging because some of them have probiotics, some of them have mushrooms added to them. And so I actually went to try to buy a multivitamin, and there were just, women at 50, women to this, and this kind of support, and perimenopause support. I mean, it just is like, there's too many multivitamins to choose from. So at the end of the day, I just ended up buying the specific things that were keyed into the things that I wanted to address.
My wife and I we both take, she takes for women, I take for men, and we both just graduated to the over 40. And we're both at our mid 50s, but the over 40 is a lot less expensive than the over 50. So it's like one, baby steps toward, we
I
figure
think that means you're reverse aging. If you buy the over 40,
true.
it means you go down.
Aiming at, right? I think that's what's happening. It's not that we're cheap, but yeah, there's that sophistication in multis too, which, used to be one a day for everyone, and that still exists, but then men and women, and it's something that we write a lot about in the journal about, focus, a multi that's also gut health, a multi that's also brain health. And I have mixed feelings about it, because then, like, if that's all you're taking, that's great. But if you're also taking a bunch of gut health supplements or a bunch of brain health supplements, then maybe just go back to the multi for your multi, right? And then take the, all the other things. It's one of those things like the industry is in love with ashwagandha right now. So our snacks, our popcorn has ashwagandha in it. And now our multis have ashwagandha in it. And our, and our drinks and then we think, I should probably take ashwagandha. And it's like, well, maybe, but maybe you don't need to be eating
now
it and drinking it.
Now I'm going to look for a multi-popcorn that has ashwagandha and magnesium.
There's not enough multi-popcorns. Well, you would know, from the next few awards, if there was a multi-popcorn, that should be a category. Multivitamin snacks, tortilla chips for anti-aging.
Bimbo Bakeries USA bakes brands families know and trust, like Sara Lee Bread, Thomas's, Entenmann's, Oro Wheat, Little Bites, and Ballpark. They're baked and delivered every day by more than 20,000 associates across the country. Bimbo Bakeries USA is a proud part of Grupo Bimbo, the world's largest baking company, with operations in 39 countries. The company's purpose of nourishing a better world is brought to life through its work to improve health and wellness, protect the environment, support the communities where they live and serve, and by valuing associates. Speaking of future market opportunities, one of the things that really struck me in the report, and it's not because it was only on page 4, so I really got to spend a lot of time with it, was just looking at the growth projections from now until 2029. I mean, the growth is just astounding. It's a huge amount of growth projected for the supplement market as a whole. So do you have any sense of where that growth is? It going to continue to be in specialty? Is it, what are some of those big market opportunities that you're sensing?
I want to say something about the growth too, because we did something in this report that's going to make some people double take. We're reporting a 7.1% growth rate this year. And that's alarming. That's a couple points higher than it typically is. And it's actually a little bit, that's not organic growth. We've added a whole new segment. We started tracking social commerce this year. So TikTok shop numbers. And most of the numbers I'm talking about here in this conversation are 2025 numbers, because that year's closed and we have a pretty solid sense of what we think happened in 2025. So 2025 is the first year we tracked TikTok shop, and that's $1 billion, $1.01 billion that we weren't previously tracking. So that artificially elevates that 7.1% growth rate. It would be only 5.6% growth without that, which is still stronger than 2024 growth. And it's still pretty consistent growth over the year. So it's a growing industry. It's growing really well, but we are creating something of an artificial or an inorganic, not like for like business growth in 2025. But growth from 2025 onward is organic growth, now including that TikTok shop. So when I say social commerce, I really mean TikTok shop, because they're the only ones who really transacting through their platform, as opposed to affiliate marketing from Instagram pointing back to e-commerce. But we've couched social commerce into e-commerce. So we're not actually tracking it as a seventh channel. We're calling it part of e-commerce for now until we see what happens with social commerce, which I think is fascinating, by the way. Meta created in-app purchasing and then they closed it. And so I think it could go a couple of ways. TikTok shop could just keep growing and it could become this huge thing, or they could say, you know what? let's close it, to let's just send the people to Amazon. Because who wants to compete with that? Like, if you want to do social commerce well, you have to meet consumers' expectations to get this stuff tomorrow, right? And who wants to do that? So social commerce could, by our definition, which is checkout in app, that could just go away, or it could mushroom and become this huge thing. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there, but that's one thing to watch. And either way, with or without social commerce tracked as a separate line, e-commerce is the fastest growing channel. And it's really taken over. And I've been saying for a while, like, let's have a moment of silence for natural and specialty, because that's where this industry grew up. That's how this industry started. And up until just 2 or 3 years ago, it was the number 1 channel. Now it's the number 3 channel.
But it still has growth, though.
It still has good growth, and it's still 25% of the industry. But e-commerce is a little bigger and growing a lot faster. Yeah. And mass market is even bigger than that and growing not as fast as e-commerce, but faster than natural and specialty. So we're going to see those. In no time, e-commerce is going to be number 1. Natural and specialty will hold its number 3 position for as far as anyone can
and
predict.
Number 2, if I'm not mistaken, is Practitioner.
On a growth, yes.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting.
Number 2, growth. Practitioner. Back to your question from a little bit ago. Like, what are we going to see going forward? Practitioner is really, it's the second fastest growing channel, and it's not such a small channel either. It's 7.5% of the industry, and it's growing fast. So, and I think it points to the same thing that specialty nutrients point to. There's a specialization happening in the supplement industry. On one hand, we have TikTok Shop bringing new consumers in who are interested in buying gummies that taste good and might help them sleep or whatever. But for the more sophisticated consumers, we're seeing more and more specialization. And that's why specialty nutrients are so strong. And that's why this practitioner channel is so strong. And consumers, by and large, when their practitioner says you should take this supplement, they do it. And we're seeing that not just equally among young consumers, but our survey research in our practitioner report that we just released shows that younger consumers are even more apt and listening to their practitioners more. So the practitioner channel is really strong, it's growing, and young consumers are paying attention.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't have the data in front of me, so you can tell me I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, brick and mortar is also really popular with younger generations.
Yeah, that's what so in our data model, we track sales, and we don't break it down by generation, and then we also do a lot of consumer research, and so we kind of have to overlay the 2 data points. But our consumer research shows that younger consumers really, they love TikTok, and they're driving a lot of that growth, but they also love going into brick and mortar stores. Interestingly, pharmacies, young consumers like buying supplements at pharmacies. A couple of years ago, our survey research showed that they were more likely to buy at natural and specialty. Now, a recent survey, and we need to see these data points more than once for them to become like something that we feel like, oh, that's true. But yeah, ranked high for pharmacies, and that was interesting to see.
Well, I think, too, this continues to be an opportunity for natural and specialty. We've had natural products, especially the independent retailers that for years have had that specialized personnel in the supplement department that can help guide consumers. And maybe that was something that kind of was reducing as some of these stores, got bigger and bigger, became chains. But I do feel like that's coming back as well, as younger generations are going into natural grocery stores. Having that, personalized consultant or staff member there that can help guide you in your supplement decisions, I think is incredibly valuable. And they're seeing that value. Let's talk a little bit about what other specific categories you're seeing some interesting movement.
Well, I think that the next important thing to talk about is delivery format. So we we talked a little bit about the 6 categories, the 6 ingredient categories: vitamins, specialty, herbs and botanicals, sports nutrients, minerals. I'm leaving one out. Apologies to industry executives who are meal replacements. Thank you. That's a very important one. That's one that we're seeing. That one's interesting because it's up against some regulatory challenges. Meal replacements in a couple of states now can only be sold behind the counter. Some of those retailers are saying, well, let's not even do it. Some of them are just breaking the rules, but they're making it a little challenging to purchase those. And as a result of that, TikTok Shop doesn't even sell those, or theoretically they don't. So meal replacements is a little challenge on that end of it, but meal replacements are extra strong in MLMs. So that's an interesting one. But so those are the 6 ingredient categories, but then there's delivery formats. And I think that's a really interesting story. And it's mostly a gummy story. We've got almost 25% of supplements. So the number one single format is gummies.
That's
at
crazy.
Almost 25. It's crazy, right?
How quickly did that happen? It's amazing.
But it's important footnote. If you add up all the pills are over 30%. Pills combined. In our model, we separate capsules from tablets, from veggie cap, from soft gel. So pills is still number one. It's still a pill market. And I think that's never going to change. In fact, I think it might see an upswing. I think now that we've had our fun with gummies and powders and liquids, people are going to be like, you know what? Pills is a pretty good way to take supplements. But the top 3 formats are gummies and the powders and then liquids. Like all 3 of the top 3 positions are what you could call food formats. And I think that's how I frame it, because I think that's what's driving it. People like to have an experience, other than just popping a pill and choking it down. They get to chew on a gummy and it tastes good, or it's fun, or a liquid also tastes good. Powders are not inherently a food format, but they go well. And I put an embarrassing number of powders in my smoothies in the morning. So it's, so powders make sense to me too. Again, not inherently food format, but works really well as a food format. So, I think delivery formats is a really interesting story, just how it's becoming more and more. And even as I predict that pills are going to stay on top and maybe even grow, we're not seeing that yet. Gummies are still growing strong. Powders and liquids are still growing strong. I believe even as they are not just the 3 largest, but they are the 3 fastest growing. They're all growing in double digits. And it's crazy.
Well, this has certainly been interesting, Bill. I have a lot of other questions, but I'm going to leave it at that. Where should you go to buy the Supplement Business Report?
nutritionbusinessjournal.com, and you'll find it there along with all of our other reports and the ability to subscribe to our journal and contact us and meet us. So go there. This is our big report of the year. Second biggest in size, biggest in notoriety. And so, check it out there. It just came out in the last couple of weeks. So be sure to check it out.
We went to a talk that was given by Erica Kraft the other day, and they asked her what supplements she takes. And I thought it was fascinating. What supplements do you take, Bill?
Okay. Erica Kraft is our data and insights manager here at NBJ.
And frequent naturalist guest.
And you all know her. You know what? I'm actually a pretty good picture of what's going on in the industry. I've been, are you ready for the big overshare? I've been working with a naturopath on some gut health issues. Gut health is very much trending. And, so I've been buying a lot of supplements recommended by my naturopath. So I'm taking some unique ones, including high doses of MSM, which is sulfur, and then I'm taking molybdenum, which is
fun to say.
Which is fun to say, and it's a mineral that very few people know about. But so those are new, and I'm taking a couple of specialty like digestive enzymes and gut health things that are again, being recommended by a naturopathic doctor and sold through that channel. And, but I do take a multi. I take magnesium. I take fish oil. I take kelp. Again, that's part of a gut health journey, recognizing, at least it's something I read, that a lot of people do actually need more iodine. So I'm taking kelp. That's a cheap and easy source. I take vitamin D. What I tell people to take, when friends ask me, what should I take? Well, everyone should take a multi, magnesium, D, and fish oil. Those are the basics. So I take those, and then I take a probiotic. I take more things than I can even remember.
Maybe you should take a memory supplement.
I should, yeah.
It was such a pleasure, as always. Lots of good fun. Thanks for being on the show. Please rate and subscribe. Buy the Supplement Business Report. Send us your list of supplements. And see you next time.